السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد، يحيي ويميت وهو حي لا يموت، بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا ونبينا محمدًا عبده ورسوله وصفيه وخليله، أدى الأمانة وبلغ الرسالة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة، فعليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام، وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اجعلنا منهم ومن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر، آمين يا رب العالمين. أما بعد، عباد الله، يقول سبحانه وتعالى في كتاب المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال تعالى: يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. وقال تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. ثم أما بعد، إن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. We start off by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him and we glorify Him subhanahu. And we bear witness and we testify that there is no deity, there is no Lord, there is no God worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Supreme, the King of all kings, the Master of the Day of Judgment, the All-Seeing, the All-Hearing, the most merciful and the most gracious. And we testify that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His slave and final messenger, the greatest man to walk the face of the earth, the man that came to perfect character, and he alayhi salatu wasalam had the best character. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His peace and blessings upon his final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family and his companions, and those that followed him. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst them. Allahumma ameen. As to what follows, brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala discusses in a few ayahs of the Quran some provisions that He gave a very specific person. And He Azza wa Jalla says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ذرني ومن خلقت واحدا وجعلت له مالا ممدودا وبنين شهودا ومهدت له تمهيدا ثم يطمع أن أزيد. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in these few ayahs, leave me with the one whom I created alone. Just like how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone created each and every one of us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this person, this man. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continued, to whom I granted excessive wealth. So He gave this person wealth. And children were present with him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also blessed him with children. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues and spread everything before him, easing his life. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made his life easy as well, in addition to all these provisions. And then the man continues, ثُمَّ يَطْمَعُ أَنْ أَزِيدُ. And then he desires that I should add more. So the man even wanted more after having all these things. But very profoundly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes a complete turn, 180 degrees on this person. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَلَّا إِنَّهُ كَانَ لِآيَاتِنَا عَنِيدًا. No, nay, indeed he has been toward our ayat, our verses, obstinate. In other words, stubborn, rejecting of the ayahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues, سَأُرْحِقُهُ صَعُودًا. I will cover him with a gracious torment, a very grief punishment. إِنَّهُ فَكَّرَ وَقَدَّرَ. So what did this person do? He thought and he deliberated. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues, فَقُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ ثُمَّ قُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ. So may he be destroyed for how he deliberated. And then may he be destroyed again for how he deliberated. So this person was thinking about something. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us here that his thought process was completely wrong. What exactly was he doing? He was rejecting the ayahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after realizing and seeing the truth in them. He realized and he saw the truth in these ayahs and of the Quran and of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and yet he chose to refuse to accept them. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues, ثُمَّ نَظَرَ ثُمَّ عَبَسَ وَبَصَرَ ثُمَّ أَدْبَرَ وَاسْتَكْبَرَ فَقَالَ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ يُؤْثَرُ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا قَوْلٌ بَشَرٌ سَأُصْلِحُ سَقَرَ. So this person continued and he thought again about this message, about the ayahs, about the Quran, and he refused to accept them. And rather what he said was, this is not but magic that was previously done in previous times. And this is not but word from a human being, not from a creation. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concludes by saying, I will drive him into saqar, and continues the description of what saqar is, a very severe punishment of the hellfire. May Allah protect us all. These ayat, brothers and sisters, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu narrates that it refers to Al-Walid ibn Mughira, one of the leaders of the Quraysh. It was said in the tafsir, and Ibn Abbas narrates this, that Al-Walid ibn Mughira went one time to the house of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and he wanted to just know what the Quran was. He wanted to learn, what is all this fuss about? Who is this messenger? What is he preaching? What are in these ayat? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, tells him about the Quran, recites for him a few ayahs. And when he was with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he reached the conclusion that this is not the word of any human being. So he thought about it, he reflected. This is not the word of a human being. Indeed, it must be from a creator. But when Al-Walid ibn Mughira went back to the Quraysh and told them this, some of the Quraysh who initially heard about what Al-Walid was saying, they became afraid. And they said, if Walid becomes a Muslim, everyone in Quraysh is going to become Muslim. There's no more of us having what we want to have. No more of our pleasure, no more of our powers, none of this, none of that. So they became afraid. And Abu Jahl, when he heard this, took it upon himself to go see Al-Walid ibn Mughira and question him as to why he was thinking like this. And he tells Al-Walid ibn Mughira, your people are thinking that you have become friends with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Is that true? And this is the thought process that he started thinking about. All of a sudden, he realized that maybe he wouldn't have the power that he has or the pleasures that he has. So when he was thinking about this, he finally concluded, I will never befriend Abu Bakr. I will never befriend Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I will never take them as friends. Indeed, this is the word, he was saying that this is the word of a magician of previous times. They've done the same type of things in previous generations. And he said it's indeed the word of a human being, not of a creator, not of a one true God. And that is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed these ayat referring to Al-Walid ibn Mughira. Now why do we mention that, brothers and sisters? A lot of times we may be put down or feel demotivated when we hear an Islamophobe, or when we hear of someone talking bad about Islam, when we hear someone trying to take Islam down. This happened as it traced back all the way to the Prophet ﷺ until today. There will always be people who will hate on the deen. That is one of the tests that we face. That is one of the reasons why we live in this life, because it is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these people will always be here. There will always be people who will try to bring this great deen down. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, يريدون أن يطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم ويأبى الله إلا أن يتموا نوره ولو كره الكافرون. They want to extinguish the light of Allah with their mouths. Try to imagine extinguishing the sun or the moon, for example, by blowing on it. It will never be possible. You'll never be able to distinguish the sun or the moon. Think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Think about His ayat. Think about His deen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they want to extinguish the light of Allah with their mouths, but Allah refuses to accept, to perfect His light. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only chooses to perfect the deen, even if the disbelievers choose not to like it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, brothers and sisters, will always take care of these type of people. They will face their fate in this life or in the next life, and that is at the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But now we take it back to ourselves. Many times we can feel this demotivation, but at the same time we have to apply ourselves. We have to take ourselves and do what limited amount that we can do to bring benefit to this world. If we do our fair share, brothers and sisters, in this life, Muslims and non-Muslims alike will all benefit. Muslims will see benefit and non-Muslims will see benefit. And we'll just mention, inshallah, a few examples. First and foremost, spreading good of the deen by means of practicing the deen itself. An example, Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu, when he reached his elderly age, went on a trip to China. China has never heard of Islam at this point. They don't have any Muslims at this point. Sa'ad took it upon himself to go give da'wah. And he spoke with the emperor in China. And the emperor of China at that time was really amazed at what he was hearing about the deen of Islam. And what we know, he himself, the emperor, did not become Muslim, but he did not stop Sa'ad from giving da'wah. So Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu started this da'wah in China. And lo and behold, hundreds, thousands of years today, the number of Muslims in China exceed more than 20 million. Allahu Akbar. More than 20 million Muslims in China. So we think just at the hand of one person, starting on a mission to give the simplest da'wah, to tell people the simplest religion, the idea that there is only one God worthy of worship, and that Muhammad is His messenger, and how he would pray and how they would see him pray, and they would come and ask him questions. Let's fast forward to today. How often do we feel embarrassed maybe to pray in front of people who are not Muslim? Think about it today. How often do we not engage with non-Muslims that are around us? We live in a country where we are the minority. The Muslims are the minority. How much are we doing to show people what Islam really is? The questions will not come, brothers and sisters, if they do not see a reason for a question to be asked. What are we doing for them to ask the question? That was just one example. Spreading good of the deen by means of our business dealings. We are all involved in business or work or transactions that we do. Are we doing these in a halal way? Really contemplate upon that, brothers and sisters. When we think about the Indo-Pak region, right? India, Pakistan, Indonesia, all those areas, Islam spread by means of trade. By means of trade, they were getting to know what a Muslim is. Wow, he's so honest in his business dealings. He's so honest in his trade dealings. What is he living for? What's his purpose in life? I have to find out more. And they come and they ask more and they want to seek more because they know that there is something right about this beautiful deen. So how honest are we when it comes to our business transactions, brothers and sisters? And knowing that the Prophet ﷺ, he says, وَاللَّهِ لَأَنْ يُهْدَى بِهَدَاكَ رَجُلٌ وَاحِدٌ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنْ حُمْرِ النَّعَمِ. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, I swear by Allah, it will be better for you that Allah should give guidance to one man through your agency, through your work, than that you should acquire the red ones among the camels. Thinking of it in today's time, translating it in today's time, it would be better for you to help bring someone to this deen than for you to get a brand new Ferrari, the best of cars, the best of houses. As good as that may seem in your head, the Messenger ﷺ tells us here that would be even better for you if you were to help bring someone into this great deen. Imagine every single good deed that brother or sister does after they become Muslim, you will get rewarded for it. That's why it's sought out so greatly. But just thinking about our business dealings in general, thinking about our acts of ibadah in general, how are we doing them? How open are we about them? And this is all as a reminder, again, for myself and for everyone, we all need to do a better job. Next, brothers and sisters, spreading good of the deen by means of one's character, by means of one's khuluq. We'll mention one narration here on the Prophet ﷺ. There was a man by the name of Thumama ibn Uthal that they captured that was not Muslim at the time, and he was held captive for the Muslims. And what did they do to Thumama? They took him to the Masjid and they tied him around one of the pillars of the Masjid. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, مَا عِنْدَكَ يَا Thumama? What do you have, O Thumama? And Thumama radiallahu anhu, he responds, I have got a good thought, O Muhammad. If you should kill me, then know that you are killing someone who already killed someone else. And if you should set me free, you would do a favor to one who is grateful. And if you want property, then ask me whatever wealth you want. I will give it to you. Set me free, whatever wealth you want. Now our Messenger, alayhi salatu wassalam, thinks big picture. Alayhi salatu wassalam. If it were any one of us, maybe we would consider having additional wealth. Maybe we would consider doing some other favors. The Prophet ﷺ responded by telling the Sahaba, just let him be. Let him be. They didn't do anything to him. They just kept him there. On the second day, the same thing happened. And Thumama's response was the same. So the Prophet ﷺ made sure that Thumama was stayed there on that column tied up. And on the third day, the same thing. And throughout this time, imagine what Thumama is seeing. He is not Muslim. He is not Muslim at this time, brothers and sisters. And what he sees is a group of brothers who come together and they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What he sees are two men that come together for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The way they are treating each other, the way they are acting with each other, the way they are behaving with each other. And he's completely amazed by this. And he himself, being a prisoner of war, he's not getting treated harshly. They're not torturing him, they're giving him food, they're giving him whatever he needs, and they're tying him up. And they're just letting him observe. Give him time, let him observe. And he sees the character of the Muslims. He sees the khuluq of the Muslims. He sees the khuluq of the Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam. So on that third day, the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam just said, let him go. And we know as the narration continues, Thumama radiallahu anhu ends up becoming Muslim. He goes and takes a shower and he comes back and bears witness that there is no Lord worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger, alayhi salatu wassalam. So think about the character that we have and how much of an impact, brothers and sisters, it has on people who are not Muslim. Bring it into today's time. Amazing, subhanAllah, Hurricane Harvey comes and hits Houston, Texas last year. What is the response of the Muslims? What is the response of the Muslim community? They open the doors of all the masajid, of many of the masajid. They open the doors and let refugees come in. They let people who are stranded come in. They let people whose houses were completely flooded come in. And they were providing for them and taking care of them. Meanwhile, as we know, there were churches who closed their doors. This is eye-opening. Eye-opening. Think about the khuluq. It's the simplest things that people who are not Muslim will see. They see your behavior. They will see how you act, how you interact. What are you giving? What are you sacrificing? They saw this excellent form of kindness, act of kindness from the Muslim community. So we all need to think about that, brothers and sisters. We all need to think about that. We could have the longest beard in the world, but yet we can, if we choose to talk bad about people, if we choose to have bad khuluq with people, what's the point? What is the point? We can choose to do the miswak, and we follow the miswak because we know it's sunnah. But if we use that same mouth that we're doing miswak for cursing other people out, slandering other people, backbiting other people, you're missing the bigger picture, brothers and sisters. These are things we need to think about. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, ما شيء أثقل في ميزان المؤمن يوم القيامة من خلق الحسن وإن الله لا يبغض الفاحش البذيء. Nothing is heavier on the scale on the day of judgment for the believers than his good character. Imagine, brothers and sisters, his good character. That's how highly it is held in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know our ibadah is important, and we just mentioned it. Spreading da'wah by means of ibadah is a great thing. But also your khuluq. This is what you're constantly applying on your day-to-day basis as we interact with our non-Muslims, as we interact with other Muslims as well. How do we interact with one another? Keeping in mind that the heaviest deeds on the day of judgment for the believers will be based on their good character. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه يغفر لكم إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله وثم الحمد لله الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Inshallah, just to conclude, brothers and sisters, as the take-home message, when we think about how greater change is done, everything starts, as they say, from the grassroots, right? So we can think of all the corruption that's involved at our highest levels of government. But change from the highest levels of government starts from the bottom level and works its way up. And we need to be engaged with the current status of our government, because we live here, brothers and sisters. And as Muslims, our approach is to take the best approach that will help people out. Whatever means necessary, our goal is to help others for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be it Muslims or non-Muslims, whatever it may be. So keeping that in mind, we have to be involved and engaged with the problems that this country faces. How engaged are we? How engaged are we with what's going on in our local government and our state government? We have to answer those questions before we even think about the problems on the national level. So we have to think about how we as Muslims can engage with the people that are around us in our local communities, Plano, Dallas, Irving, making sure that the needs of the Muslims are met and the needs of the non-Muslims are also met. We all have to take those initiatives because that is how change happens, inshaAllah wa ta'ala. And I'll just conclude with one other note, and that is to talk about our neighbors. How often do we engage with our neighbors? Do our neighbors even know our names? Do they even know our names? Do they even know that we are there to help them if they are in need of anything? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, ما زال يوصيني جبريل بجاري حتى ظننت أنه سورثه. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Jibreel continued to recommend me about treating the neighbors kindly and politely, so much so that I thought I would have to take them as my heirs. Imagine that. The importance of our neighbors, the treatment of our neighbors. Do our neighbors even know who we are? Do we engage with them daily or weekly or even monthly? These are all questions we have to reflect on, brothers and sisters, because ultimately, yes, change first and foremost needs to be in the household. You have to get yourself in check. You have to get your family in check for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After that, you work your way out. You see your neighbors, the near neighbor and the far neighbor. What do they need? Do they know who you are? Do they know that you're a Muslim? Do they know that you're there to help them and protect them and provide for them if they need something? We all have to reflect on these questions, inshallah, and then that way change will start and greater good can happen, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who apply these principles. Allahumma ameen. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama sallayta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim. Wa barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim fil alameen. Innaka hamidun majid. Allahumma aghfir al-muslimina wal-muslimat wal-mu'minina wal-mu'minat al-ahya'a minhum wal-amwat. إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا واعف عنا ولا تعذبنا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم اعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم اعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم اعز الإسلام والمسلمين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل وإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم ودعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
لا إله إلا الله. استووا استقيموا. Please make sure your lines are straight. All the gaps are filled. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسره لليسرى فذكر ولينسره لليسرى وينسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الله أكبر. اللهم أعني على ذكرك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Brothers and sisters, there's a brother, Shabir, whose wife is sick with cancer. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant her shifa. Asallahu al-azim, Rabbil arsh al-azim, and yashfiha. She's having surgery next week, so please keep her in your dua, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant her shifa. Jazakum Allah khair.